please welcome the star of Vixen, Miss Erica Gavin. Erica, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Hi, guys.
Now, the Vista Theatre actually has is relevant to Erica's story with Russ Meyer, so why don't you tell us about that?
Well, I was born and raised in Silver Lake. Grew up in Silver Lake. And I went to Thomas Starr King Junior High, right there where after you get on Fountain, you cross Sunset, and you go down, and right before it turns into Hyperion is Thomas Starr King. And I also worked after school at Sarno's Bakery. And when I would walk to Sarno's, I would pass the Vista Theatre. And I'll never forget, it was showing The Immoral Mr. T's. So I guess it was like a glimpse into my future. Thank you, Dave.
And so how did you actually get involved with Vixen in the first place?
Well, I'm kidding, Dave. I'm kidding. Okay. I was working at a spot with Haji from Russ's movies and Teresa Tana. And when we'd have a break during our dancing days, and Haji said to Tara, "Don't you think Russ would love Erica?" And Tara said, "Yeah, sure." And that just went, okay, fine. And then I was at a dentist appointment, and like every doctor's office, dentist office has variety in our order if you live in LA. And I opened it, and there was an ad for Russ Meyer's new film. And it said something like, 2 Caucasian women, 1 native, I forgot how he put it, but it was not politically correct. And then 1 interesting looking male and the age. And I thought, oh man, I'm going to call. This is who Haji and Tara were talking to me about. And so I called and I went on an interview like 2 days later, not with Russ, but with his assistant. And he asked me to take my top off, and I'm like, yeah, sure, why not? You know, I do it every night, so why not? And he goes, okay, he took a picture, and then he says, we'll get back to you. I hear nothing. About a month later, I get a call. Hi, this is George Costello. Could you come in and do another reading? And I'm like, sure. So I went in and I met Russ, and Eve was working there at the time, and she did all the office work. Russ did all the location stuff, and Russ was all, you know, macho, like you wouldn't believe, you know, scratching and, you know, everything. So he goes, okay, can you take your top off? And I did. And he said to George, he goes, well, she's a lot smaller than most of my leading women, but maybe women will be able to relate to her. So I got the part.
And women did relate to you. I mean, afterwards, the feedback you got from the film was from men and women, right?
Yes, and I think that the women population going to see the movie really helped with the amount of money and the amount of people and the exposure that the film got. The first week in Chicago, it made $68,000. The film was made for $60,000. So in 1 week in Chicago, and funny enough, but in the South, there were lines around the block. And if any of you know about Vixen, she's a piece of work.
Now, there were certain things that you brought to the role your costumes, for example, where a lot of Vixen's costumes are yours, but one scene in particular is a dance you did with a fish. Can you talk about that?
Sure. When I arrived on location, which was it was just a few miles from Miranda up north, and the first night, of course, we're gonna shoot, okay, sure. Anyway, so I put on my yellow dress that I brought from home, and Russ just started the camera, and we were having a barbecue. Me, my husband, and Vixen, and her husband. And he wanted me to be sexual towards the other guy. So I'm like, and there was all this fish because we were doing a barbecue. And I just picked up the fish, and it became the fish dance anyway. I don't want to ruin it for you.
Yeah.
You'll see.
And the film ended up being more successful beyond yours and Russ's wildest dreams. How was that for you?
Let me think. It was great. Russ was thrilled. And I think, you mentioned Cincinnati. Russ was most thrilled about going to court with Charles Keating, who had this organization against pornography. And basically, he's the guy from the SNL scandal, the one that stole all that money from people, and yet he's worried about people seeing pornography, which it wasn't, but seriously.
Yeah, I mean, I think Russ really kind of enjoyed courting that kind of controversy, and I think initially his grave was going to have a quote from Keating, something along the line, I'm paraphrasing here, but I think it was something like, what you make is completely offensive and obscene, and the inscription on the grave was, I was happy to do it.
He was, everyone thought he'd be really mad that his movies got an X rating. He loved it. He loved it. And Vixen was actually the first film to receive an X rating by the MPAA, motion picture. Whatever. You got an X.
Okay, so finally, here we are all these years later. Is this surprising to you? And is there anything else you want to say about Russ and working with Russ and Russ's legacy?
I was really quite sad about losing Russ, and even more so that he would be forgotten, because he really was a pioneer in so many ways, and was up to date with what was going to be, not necessarily what was then, but what was going to be. And so many people think that Vixen is pornography, which if you've seen it, you know what porn is, right? Not Vixen, no. I feel really happy that Russ will be able to be known by the up-and-coming filmmakers, editors, photographers, because of the restoration done by David, Severin Films, and I'm just happy for Russ. I know he's smiling.
Erica,